Hey there everyone, welcome to our series Automate the Boring Stuff in Ansys Mechanical. In today's video, we will be looking at GeoData. Just to remind you, what is the difference between geometry object, selection manager and GeoData? So geometry object is something which we see in this model tree. Selection manager is something which you select from this graphics window, and then GeoData, which is actually the properties that you see after you select any of the geometry identity. So first let us just see how do we access GeoData. So to begin with, we will go to our entry point, which is nothing but ext API. So there are a couple of ways to access GeoData. First one is we will go to GeoData. We will go to data model dot project dot analysis. No, we need to access model dot analysis. Then you will see there may be couple of analysis here, like you may have static analysis, model analysis, response spectrum, anything. So we will access the first one which we have here. So to get the access, we will refer to the index 0, and from here we can access GeoData. So if you click on that, you will see you are getting geometry wrapper. Just to remind you, GeoData starts with geometry wrapper. So let's write here geometry wrapper. Okay, so under geometry wrapper you will see several other wrappers. So let us first see how do we access GeoData. This was the one way. Another way is, let's do entry point ext API job data model dot GeoData. So this is also returning you geometry wrapper. There is one more way to access this. So data model dot, there is one internal method which is called as analysis list. So you will see same as like analysis, you are getting the list of different analysis. Let's access the first index, and then from here GeoData. So this is also returning a geometry wrapper. So we will use data model dot GeoData, which is the easiest way. So let's assign it to a variable called as GD. GD is nothing but GeoData. Let's see the type of it. So you will see this is returning as geometry wrapper. So let's access various methods of or properties associated with geometry wrapper. So we will begin with gd dot assemblies. So you will get there is only one assembly under GeoData. So let's mention it here. The first thing that we access is assembly wrapper. We will go to assembly wrapper a bit later, because first thing, let's see what are the other properties that we have. Let's type gd dot, then we have get geo entity by id. So if you remember my previous video, I was talking about how we can go from one object to another, like from geometry object to selection manager to GeoData, and again the reverse way. Okay, so this geo entity by id is one way to get a geometry identity from any selection info. Like if you have this face id, this will have some face dot id. Once you enter that id, you will get the geometry, you will get the GeoData. So we'll go to that later. And other properties are toString. So toString is a function. So you will see that it is returning a string with entire type. How this is useful? Let's say you are working under any loop, or you are writing a Python function where you are going through a loop and you want to check what is the type of it. So instead of geometry wrapper, you might come across a body wrapper or a face wrapper. At that time, what you can do is, so you will be writing a if statement, right? To check whether this is a geometry wrapper or not, what you can do is you can just copy it equal to, and then you can copy the string. So when you're running a loop, whenever you come across this uh, geometry wrapper, then it will give a true statement, and then you can enter the if block. So there is a new line character, and if you enter, you will see it is returning true. So these are a couple of methods and properties which you will be using frequently. Let's I'll just write down what are the things we are going across. So first thing we saw is geometry wrapper. Okay. After geometry wrapper, we will see assembly wrapper. And then let's access the assembly wrapper to GD was our GeoData dot assemblies. So what we saw, it is returning a list with all the assembly wrapper objects. Let's access the first object here because we have only one assembly. And let me revise a bit. Uh, so you have a part here, then you have bodies. Again, you have bodies here, and these are also bodies. So, and this is just a folder. Okay. So let's access the first body, and then let's assign it to a variable called as ASSY, and then let's see what are the properties it has. So first is all parts. So what it says is it's a get, and it's returning a type of list. Within the list, all the elements are of type geopart. So this is nothing but part wrapper. Let's see what it is returning. You will see you are getting part wrappers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You will see here there are 6 bodies, but what is happening here is, so if you remember my previous videos on geometry, it is part and then bodies. So ultimately it's a body, but when you try to reach out things, like you will get part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. Then if you go under each, like if you go under this part, you will get 2 bodies, again 2 bodies, again 2 bodies. So that's the reason you are getting 5 parts here. Let's see what other things we have here. SC dot parts, dimensions, these things we don't use frequently. And then this part, so same, you are getting 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 parts. Parts is something we use. We don't use all parts. Part is very useful. And then after parts we have toString unit. So this is the unit that you have defined maybe under geometry or under each parts, or you're in the current system. Let's see if it is getting changed. If I do 2 centimeter, if I run it, you're still seeing meter. Maybe it's coming from somewhere else. Anyway, we don't use it much, so let's not get into that. And then acid dot get type, again it will return as assembly wrapper. Name is something we don't use. Unit. Okay, so let's go to parts and then access any one part. Okay, so let's put the index 0. You will see it's returning a part wrapper. So next thing that we are seeing after assembly wrapper is a part wrapper. Okay. Then let's assign this name to P1. P1 is nothing but part 1. And under P1, you will see you are getting bodies. So we have still not reached any entity like volume, weight, not weight, volume, area, bounding box length, all those terms. We will get that only when we reach bodies. And then you're getting IDs here, name, toString type. So let's target bodies. Here, this is something which is very important, which you are getting as body wrapper. So what you see here is P1 is having 2 bodies. Let's access P2. For P2, we will give SC dot bodies, not bodies, parts, and then 1. Here, if you see P2 dot bodies, you will see you will get only one body because it is accessing something outside, like maybe A, B, C, D, but not E and F. But when you see P1, it is giving you 2 body. That means you are under E and F. Okay, so we will work with P1 now. So P1 is returning 2 bodies, which is nothing but body E and body F. So let's access one body again. So P body of 0, we will assign it to B1. B1 is nothing but body 1. So let's see the type of B1. B1 is body wrapper. Let's note it down. Now this is where all your work starts. So when you're doing automation, all that you will be working is with body. So let's see what B1 has. First thing is area. So B1 is nothing but any of E or F. Since all are equal part, let's see what it is returning. Area. So this is actually returning surface area. So how do we do that? We will go to box select and we will go to face selection. You can type Control F and let's see what and all is inside this selected box. You will see there are 6 faces, and if you see this area, it is around 150 centimeter square. As you know, the unit was meter, so you will get 0.015 meter square. So zoom it back and go to single select mode. This was the body, and let's see what and all it has. B1 dot body type, it should give a solid body. There are couple of body types here. If you put a sphere, then you will get something like geo body sphere. If you put a cylinder, you will get geo body dot geo body cylinder. There is also a way to find body type enum. So it's written here like solid, sheet, or wire. Okay. And then centroid again. What was the unit? B1 dot unit. Where were we? Unit was under body, I guess. So these units don't change with the unit that you select. For example, if you select meter, it won't change, I guess. Yeah, it's not changing. These are set to the geometry units. So you need to make sure what you are getting. Usually there is a fixed unit, like no matter what you choose, the Python API returns a fixed unit. So that you need to take care. And then I believe in geometry also you can select some unit here, or maybe what is defined. Okay, we will check that later. Let's go back to a meter, whichever is it's showing. So you will see the centroid is coming as 0.1, 0.1 and 0.025. It is same what you saw before. And then B1 dot centroid edges. So what happens is after body, you might get face or edge. So there will be faces and there will be edges. So under body, there can be several, even vertex. Okay, under body you have faces, vertices, then edges. So let's go one by one. First is faces. So you should be getting here 6 faces. Okay, so if you see this one, two, so you don't have to count like this. There is a, since this is a list, you have len function and then just type b1 dot faces. You will get the count. So you got 6 faces here. Similarly, if you put edges, then you should be getting 4, and then 4 and 4. Somewhere around 12 you should get edges. So let's put under a count b1 dot edges. So you are getting 12. So this body has 12 edges. Again, vertices, how much you should be getting? It should be around 8. So we will just directly write b1 dot vertices. So you're getting 8. So let's start with a face now, and we will tick whichever is completed. Let's say body wrapper is completed. So we saw that body has v1 dot, we have area, we have centroid, number of edges, number of faces, geodata, like to get the parent object. For example, you are here, body, which is b1 right now. So let's write b1. If you want to go b1 to body wrapper directly or the geometry wrapper, you can choose geodata. So let's show you once. If you select geodata, you will see it is returning geometry wrapper, which was our parent. And then b1 dot edges, faces, id is this id. So how it is useful? So when I select this word, you saw that this id is useful. So if you remember our selection manager video, in that we have discussed how we access, how do we select this 48, for example, from this body wrapper. If you want to go to selection manager, how do we do that? Ext api dot selection manager dot then we will write new selection. It's taking I selection info, so you have to create eye selection info first. Here we can create eye selection info and then type enum, and then let's assign it to cell info. Okay, so we didn't enter the type. Geometry entities, cell info dot IDs. So it's a list, so it's empty now. Here we will do b1 dot id. b1 dot id is not a list, it's a string. So we'll put a list here now, b1 dot id. So you will see cell info has become 48, and then we can select that. So let me unselect it first. Go to geometry, unselect ext api dot selection manager dot new selection, and then we will put cell info. So you will see that body is selected. So this is nothing but our b1. So this is one way to go back from geometry wrapper or geo body to selection manager. Okay. So what else we saw in b1? b1 part material. We have a separate video on material. We will see how we can define all the Young's modulus, Poisson's ratio, and uh, all the strength parts. b1 dot. Okay, anyway, b1 is completed. Let's go to faces. So you will see it will give you around 6 faces. Let's start. Let's access any one face. For example, b1 faces of 0, and we will name it as f1. So let's see what f1 is all about. F1, let's see what is this f1. So you will see f1.id is 12. What we can do is just to select which face we are talking about. So I will just put IDs is equal to 12, and then I will do the selection. So if you remember, that was selection manager and this cell info. So this is the phase we are talking about. So this is nothing but f1 right now. And under f1, what are the things we can see? First is area. Again in Metasquare 0.025. This is same as this value. And then f1 dot centroid. So you will see 0.125 xyz, and there may be no, I thought we can get a centered x, centered y, and centered z. We can get, but anyway, you have the index. So 0 is our x, and 1 is y, and z is index 2. So this is one way to access the centroid. And what else we have? We have the body type, which is very important, because sometimes when we do automation, so you might want all the cylindrical faces or flat faces like plane. So in that you have to type f1 dot I think it's in type, yeah, surface type. So you will see it's returning as geo surface type. So if you select a cylinder, it will give you something like geo surface cylindrical or something like that. And if you select a circle, then it might give you surface circular or circle. So you can create your own models and check all these things. So area centroid GeoData is again when you want to travel from f1. Let's rename it to f1. And then from here you want to go to parent geometry wrapper. That time you can create f1 dot geodata, and then bounding box, like this box. What is the length of this box? Whenever you select a body, you get a bounding box, right? So this is not the bounding box, but when you select here, you will get somewhere, yeah, this one, bounding box. Similarly for this face, uh, you will definitely get a bounding box. So it's a function, and you will see this is the bounding box of that. Here you are getting all the coordinates. I think so. Yeah. Let's see where our global coordinate system is. Yeah, it's here. It's somewhere here. No, it doesn't look. Yeah, this is looking like a global coordinate system. So for this phase, you get all the coordinate system. So in this get bounding box, and then f1 dot GeoData we saw, bounding box we have seen, ID also. So this is something 12 which we have selected. F1 dot, then points. So this is all the points of those four coordinates. No, I don't see that it is point. It is something else. Anyway, I have not used it before, so I'm not sure about that. Okay. Okay, so F1 is completed. From F1, yeah, you can go to part as well. So if you see F1 dot part, you will go to this entire part. So which is nothing but this one, not E, but one, because E is a body. This is the part. So maybe F1 dot body will give you, yeah. So it says get the list of bodies of the face. So you will see one body. Like if one face is common to two bodies, you are running a loop. You want to see whether they are in contact or not. Not contact, I mean it's a maybe it is split at that part, so you will get where this face is associated with all the bodies. That kind of looping you can do. So F1 is completed. From F1 we will go to an edge. So let's call F1 dot edges. So you will see it will return 4. You can do length F1 dot edges. You will see 4. Let's focus on any one edges or edge. So first index I will write it as E1. So E1 is a edge wrapper. Okay, so F1 is completed. We are here E1. Okay, let's choose E1 through API, not through selection manager. So E1 dot ID, it's around 80. We will go to that selection manager, cell info. Let's do it quick. Cell info dot IDs is equal to 80, and then we will go to this selection manager, because I don't know which one is this 18. So I will go to this selection manager and run this. So you will see something is selected. Let's see which one it is. Yeah, this one. So if you see this edge is highlighted. Let's see what are the properties we have. So it's nothing but E1 dot bodies is something you want to return back to the body associated with this edge, centroid. This is something same as this 3 values. And E1 dot curve type. Yeah, this is also very useful. Like it is telling it's a line. If it is circular, you might get something else. So you can check that curve type. What are the faces associated with edge 1? That also you can get. GeoData is returning to parent geometry wrapper. Bounding box, it will give you maybe I think coordinates, or yeah, it is giving all the coordinates within that box. I mean the box that is enclosing that edge. E1 dot bounding box. Again, E1 dot points we will go next. And then toString I have already discussed where you use. So E1 is also covered. Let's talk about E1 dot vertices. So you will see it is returning two vertex wrapper. Let's target any one, 0, and we will call it as V1. V1 dot ID. It is giving 56, so we don't know uh, which one is 56. So what we will do is we'll replace this and we will put 56 here, and then again we will replay this, and then we will choose 56. So it has highlighted this one. So let me just write V1. E1 is completed. What are the things that you might get from a vertex? So it is just the coordinate, because vertex will not have any volume or area, or even type is not there. Point is a point, right? So V1 dot bodies is all the bodies associated with this vertex. Edges is all the edges associated with this vertex. Faces is same. like all the faces associated with vertex. GeoData is something which you want to go back to the parent geometry wrapper. And then ID is the unique ID to part. Again, go back to the part of that. Yeah, this is uniquely you are getting coordinates XYZ. And maybe centroid is not there because centroid exists for a 2D or 3D plane, not for a point. So here, if you just type X, you will get 0.125. If you type Y, you will get the coordinates of that point. So this was all about mm, vertex. So next thing we will see is how to move around between those three main parts. For example, let me just zoom back. So three things we saw initially. First one was uh, geometry object. Second was selection manager. Let me just, yeah, selection manager, and then selection info. So not selection info, I'm sorry. So it is wrapper. So GeoData. So from GeoData and selection manager, we have already seen we use the ID method. So from this ID, you can go back. But from Geo object to selection manager, there is a unique way. Here we are playing around ID. Okay. There is one more way to get into that ID. Something like this. So for example, we have GD, right? So GD was geometry wrapper. Now I want to get to this phase. Let's select this phase, and you know the ID is 12. So what you will write is GD dot get geoentity by ID, and then in the bracket you will see you need to enter integer. Int is integer. So if you type 12, you will see it's giving a phase wrapper. You cannot enter multiple types of entities. For example, you cannot enter face and a body within this. Thus the reason ANSYS force you to give only one value. You cannot uh, like you cannot give a list and then enter multiple values here. It won't allow, because it allows only one value integer. Why? Because let's say I'm selecting two faces. You will see for each entity it is giving some values. That's the reason they force you to enter only one value. This was one interrelation between selection manager and GeoData. There is now we will see how from object you can go to GeoData. What happens is, let's access the bodies. So as you know, like ext API dot um, data model dot project dot model dot geometry gives you the geometry object. Okay, so instead of that, there is in new APIs, if you type model, you will directly get a model object. You don't have to go through ext API, then data model, then project. I think geometry is also different. Let me just check. I don't remember. Geometry, yeah, geometry is not different till model. It is I mean they have reserved this word. So okay, so you will type model dot geometry, and then you will see bodies. Yeah, so here this is what it's telling is how do we get geometry object from geo body. Like we already had b1. So if you remember, this was the body object. So from model dot uh, geometry dot get body, from here it is telling it gets geo body. So we will just enter b1. You will see it is returning body. So what is happening is b1 was our uh, geo body. From geo body we went to body. So body is nothing but this body object from this tree, not from the selection manager or GeoData. And let's see how we go from B1 to GeoData. So what we will do is model to dot. Yeah, we can go to model dot geometry dot children. So it will give all the children. let's target a part which is under index 1 from, yeah, it's a part. Then again, get children, it won't come because uh, that automation is only till certain limits. So here we will just put 0. Let's see if you are getting, yeah, we got the body. So I will type as b11. Okay, b1 is already a body wrapper. So b11 dot, you will see get geo body. So from here you will get a body wrapper. Okay, this is also you can do. Face and part you can get. You can get body wrapper and part wrapper, but face anyway it does not exist here, so that one you cannot get. I think I have covered most of the geodata entities. That's all for today, guys. Thank you, and please do subscribe my channel. Have a good rest of your day.